Attorney Jonathan Elson, reminding you that if you've been injured in an auto accident, it's important to have somebody on your side. When you need a lawyer,
then you need Nelson.
On January 21st, the death toll for Palestinians in the Israel-Hamas war reached over 25,000. The death toll specifically became 25,105 Palestinians killed and 62,681 wounded, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, which does not differentiate between combatant and civilian deaths. However, 2 days later, on January 23rd, the number rose again to 25,490. It was also reported that 2/3 of the number of deaths belong to women and children. The overall amount is believed to be higher, however, due to the bodies trapped underneath rubble in areas medics cannot reach. On January 23rd, Hamas militants struck Israeli forces in an attack that left 21 Israeli soldiers dead. According to reports, they died from a blast that came from a rocket-propelled grenade, which had triggered explosives that Israeli soldiers were preparing in order to demolish buildings near the Mackay refugee camp. The blast caused the buildings to collapse onto the soldiers. This has raised Israel's death toll to 271 in regards to the country's soldiers. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu mourned the loss and has vowed to press ahead in the war until they reach absolute victory. He went on to state that, "We are in the middle of a war that is more than justified. In this war, we are making big achievements, like the encircling of Khan Yunis, and there are also very heavy losses. However, Israeli citizens are starting to become more and more divided in regards to the war, especially for those whose family members still remain in captivity by Hamas." According to reports, Israeli officials have begun to believe that Netanyahu's goals of complete victory and the return of the remaining hostages might be mutually exclusive. A member of Israel's war cabinet, Gadi Eisenkot, believes that the only way to free any more hostages would be through a ceasefire. However, with both Netanyahu and far-right partners within his coalition continuing to push forward with the war, the proposal of a new ceasefire agreement becomes more and more elusive. Even so, the United States has joined the call for Israel to scale back its offensive and agree to a path for the creation of a Palestinian state after the war. Currently, Palestine only has 2 territories to its name, one being the Gaza Strip and the other being the West Bank. However, Netanyahu has recently spoken against the idea of a Palestinian state and has reportedly stated that Israel will need to expand its operations and eventually take over the Gaza side of the border with Egypt. This area is where an exorbitant number of Palestinians fled to and remained sheltered in overflowing UN shelters. Dia Rashwan, who is the head of Egypt's State Information Service, responded to this, stating that should Israel make any move to occupy the border area, it would lead to a serious threat to the relation between both countries.